Good Packer Nation morning, everybody. It's a great day to be a Packer fan, and we have got a lot to talk about today. So jump on, let me know who you are and where you're coming at me from. It's time for a little Packer Nation roll call. Who is out there? As you jump on, we have an announcement to make. I've been sending out game invitations, and I do these over through the phone. I text each person individually, and one person messages me back and said, and here's Samantha right here. She says to me, I might not be able to finish my invitation right away because I'm having a baby. And so this morning, or late last night or whatever, I get a message from Samantha. Not only did she sign on to the game and sign up, but she had the baby. So the first things first today, guys, everybody in Packer Nation, reach out if you're not driving, and let's heart our new addition to Packer Nation. Samantha is the mom. The baby's name is Anna Lee. She's 6 pounds, 11 ounces, and 19 inches long. It looks like Packer Nation has a new addition today. Sounds like everybody's healthy. Of course, we wish you the best, Samantha and little Anna Lee. Here come the hearts for you. Great to know that Packer Nation is growing and that little Anna Lee is healthy. And here's to you, Samantha. We hope you heal up and feel better soon, and that Samantha, of course, passes all her tests, is able to leave the hospital and everything like that. But this has just happened, guys. Jump on and hit that little heart button for little Anna Lee this morning. What a fantastic bit of news to start off the show with today. Fantastic. Well, let's do a little bit of Packer Nation roll call while you hit that heart button for little Anna Lee. We've got Michelle on board saying congrats to you. Maurice is here. Matthew, Kenny, Tim, and Tony. Samantha says thanks to everybody in case you didn't see it. What a fantastic news, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. Jump on, hit the heart button for little Anna Lee and Samantha, the mom, today. Tony is here. Yeah, we got a lot of Anna Lees out there. We got a lot of hearts out there for her. A lot of well wishes. Such exciting news. Great way to start off the show. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And Packer Nation is very proud of you, Samantha, and really happy to welcome little Anna Lee into the world. Great news. All right, well, speaking of great news, I have actually one thing that I want to share this morning because I don't think it ever gets talked about, and it's actually a good way, I think, to close out our discussion of the Packers' win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, today, for crying out loud, we're going to be moving on. It's Tuesday. We already had a little Monday Night Football doubleheader kickoff, but it's Tuesday, and if you're like me, you are already focused on the Vikings. However, we got Jerry from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Good to see you, Jerry. Roger is here, and Michelle. We got Robert from Virginia as well. But one thing I wanted to mention, and this has just been brought to light to me, because I have a guy in here named Robert who was in the training room of the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. He worked with the team, Devon House, et cetera. What I did not know about this, and I think this is a good way to close out discussion of the Jacksonville Jaguars game. The only time we ever talk about the strength and conditioning and the training staff is when something goes wrong, when too many people are injured, et cetera. What we never hear about is all the times when they help our players stay healthy, all the work that they do to maintain our player health and keep our team's continuity together during the year. Now, what you may not know, because I didn't, until I heard it firsthand, I was talking to Robert because he's up here. He's a PhD candidate, and his daily schedule is insane. It's like, out of the house by 6 in the morning, not back till after 10 many times, sometimes 2 in the morning. Very difficult. I made that comment to him. I said, man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if I could stand up to a schedule like that. Well, here's what he responded to me. His words were, oh, it's par for the course, man. He said, when I was with the Jaguars in the training room, we were at work by 5 o'clock in the morning during training camp in particular, I think he said, and we didn't finish until sometimes 9 o'clock at night. So let's give a thumbs up to our training staff. After the game of the Jacksonville Jaguars, we know that there was we were concerned about the heat. We were concerned about the humidity. We were concerned about the strength and conditioning. Packers training staff, give them a thumbs up. They passed with flying colors, I think. Obviously, we have a couple people we want to talk about in terms of injury. But let's right now give a thumbs up to the training staff. They have to work very hard up until to get the team ready for this point. And then they had all the veterans who didn't play. And then there's actually fallout afterward when you play a hot game like that. They have to keep an eye on these guys after the game as well. These folks put in a ton of work. And I just want to say thank you to the entire training staff, all those guys, the strength and conditioning staff, for kind of getting us through this. It was 112 degrees down in the field, folks, and they really got us through it, okay? And now understanding how grueling a schedule you guys have, just great work, great work. All right, well, with that said, of course, we do have a couple injury concerns coming out of the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The number one concern is Sam Shields. Of course, he is going through the concussion protocol, and I've got this hunch that he won't play on Sunday night. But we will see, and I will certainly update you on that as we get a chance to do so. The other one, of course, was we saw Randall Cobb limping a little bit with maybe a little bit of a tweak on his ankle or a knee, but nothing has been said that I've seen. Yeah, Charles, the word on Shields, he's in the protocol, and so the protocol will make the determination. It's actually the medical staff that make the call whether Shields will be able to play. This is his second one. I don't think this is going to be a career-threatening concussion, but we will see. We'll keep you up on that. Of course, we want Sam Shields to be in this game. I don't think he had the best performance, but again, we were shaking off a little rust in this game, guys. We really were. It was pretty obvious that these guys, especially our veterans, they hadn't played a ton of downs in the preseason. Some of them have played virtually none. Julius Peppers. So part of the reason that we want to have Sam Shields back is I expect him to be better in the second game of the season. He'll go through the protocol. I think he's going to be fine, but we'll keep you up to date on that. As far as I'm concerned, Randall Cobb is a non-issue. The only thing that does worry me a little bit is Randall Cobb is so freaking tough. The man is tough. I can tell you this. That even if he is hurt a little bit, I don't know that he's going to tell anybody. He may go out and play. He may go out and play, but Randall Cobb, it looks like, is going to be fine. So that will close out our discussion of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because guess what, guys? We've got some big news this morning. Ian Rappaport is reporting that the Packers, you can look it up, you can check the post on our Facebook page. Packers have agreed to terms with left tackle David Bakhtiari on a 4-year extension worth up to $51.67 million, all right? It's an average of $12 million a year, but the money came in. The Packers, now you see what Ted Thompson was trying to do. I still don't agree with it 100%, but it's very good news. David got paid, okay? Good morning, everybody. I saw somebody roll across. David Bakhtiari got paid, all right? So we know that we've got, this offensive line there was going to be some flux this coming off season, but right now it looks like they have opened the door and they have gotten Bakhtiari in. Maybe we can start work on the rest of the line that's going to need to be sealed up so that we can maintain that continuity. Lane Taylor with a fantastic performance. I went through the first 3 quarters and watched every single snap that he played, and I had him for about 2 negative plays. But Lane Taylor, I did a post this morning, just an AM quick slant, and I was very impressed with how our offensive line played. We did have the 1 sack on Aaron Rodgers, but all in all, and it took him a little bit to get going, obviously, but all in all, the offensive line passed a big test. Lane Taylor in particular going against Malik Jackson. And what you saw was that the Jacksonville Jaguars had to bring pressure because they couldn't get it with their front. So I don't want to talk about Jacksonville anymore. Let's talk about the Vikings, for crying out loud. All right, guys, let's see. How do I want to do this? I've got some early things that I want to talk about for us to be successful against the Vikings. This is going to be a huge game. You know, I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars were a perfect way to start off the season, a really challenging game. And the challenge of the Jacksonville Jaguars game, I think, is going to pay dividends for us. But this Vikings game is going to be critical. We could see this one. We could see a ripple effect of this game come December when we've got to play these guys at Lambeau. It'll be interesting. The last several years, basically since the NFL has been making the last game of the season a division rival for every team in the league, we have seen that last game of the season become very, very exciting. Now, on the other hand, if the Packers can actually take the Vikings and steal this game at home, they're opening the first regular season game at US Bank Stadium. If they can take this one at home, then in December, we might see the possibility, because I think that very final game is actually against Detroit, but we've also got the Vikings and the Bears in there. We could know exactly what's happening in the division before that final game this year, so it could be different. But I think this game will be crucial to whether we are once again up against the wall and have a must-win last game of the season against an NFC North opponent, or if we have maybe an opportunity where it is, for the first time since they made this change, not an absolutely critical game. But it'll be interesting to see. The Vikings took on the Tennessee Titans. One of the things that we're seeing this year is, we had this discussion in the offseason, all of the teams, the Packers have been, everybody talked about the Packers because we have the weakest schedule in the league. Weakest schedule being determined by winning percentage of the team last season. Now, everyone in Packer Nation knew that that stat was kind of a joke, and we're seeing it right now. Look at how well the Jacksonville Jaguars played. I would not be surprised at all if the Jacksonville Jaguars don't run the table at home from here on out. Very, very, very good team. Defense is coming on. They really gelled in the game against us. Anybody coming into the heat down there in Jacksonville is going to have a struggle against a Jacksonville team. And we saw firsthand their offense had more explosive plays than any offense in the league last year, because they didn't win that many games. Nobody heard about it, but it's true. And they had 6 explosive plays against us. Explosive plays being plays of 20 yards or more. So we see that the schedule, that weakness of schedule, is really falling away. Now look what the Tennessee Titans gave the Minnesota Vikings everything they could handle. You could see that the Minnesota Vikings, like us, were shaking off a little bit of rust in the early parts of the game. And but the Tennessee Titans are, we got to play them too. They're nobody to sneeze at. They've retooled. They've made big changes from top to bottom, and they do look like they're working. But let's talk about the Vikings. I think at the offense, there are several keys to this game, to my mind. Now, you can roll up yours if you want right now. What are your keys to beating the Vikings in terms of offense? Well, number one I want to talk about is, let's get Jordy Nelson started early. Did you not notice that very first pass, that very first reception that Jordy Nelson had was exactly the point at which this offense began to click? It was like a switch got flipped, a light turned on, and the Packers offense was in business from the moment that Jordy Nelson caught his first pass. It was a first down. And I want to see the Packers offense. Let's get Jordy Nelson involved a little bit earlier. Obviously, we tried to do that earlier in the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and there was a little bit of a miscommunication. Aaron Rodgers was a little bit wide on a back shoulder pass, and I think in one case, in the second case, Jordy Nelson got held big time, I think, on that play. It wasn't called. But the keys to the offense, for our offense out there, we got to get Jordy Nelson started right away. DeMarco Murray, he had 42 yards on 12 carries against the Vikings, okay? That's my second key. That's not enough, I don't think. I think if Eddie Lacy gets out there and only has, if the Vikings are going to be dead set on stopping Eddie Lacy had, 61 yards in this past game. He's going to need to have that many so we can maintain that balance against the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's going to be crucial to, again, have a balanced offense and really stretch the Minnesota Vikings defense and put a lot of pressure on them, both with the pass and the run, then bringing in Eddie Lacy out of the backfield, I think it's going to be crucial that Eddie Lacy has at least 60 yards in this game. If he has more than that, and you look at the stats from the Jacksonville Jaguars game, and Eddie Lacy could have come close to having, that 75 or 80 yards had our offense not completely fallen apart in the last two series of the game. We were poised to run out the clock in that game. We weren't able to do it mostly because of knocking the rust off kind of stuff. The communication wasn't there. Mike McCarthy did a mea culpa on that this morning, or the other day in his press conference. We've got to get Eddie Lacy going. I want to see us get Jordy Nelson going early. And again, I talked about this a little bit against the Jaguars, and I think it would have been effective so that Eddie Lacy can pound the rock a little bit. Eddie Lacy, in the shape he's in, give me a thumbs up if you agree that Eddie Lacy, in the shape he is in right now, looks like he looked to me like he was chomping at the bit to grind it out and to just pound the rock down the throats of the Jacksonville Jaguars down the stretch on Sunday. I truly believe he's ready to do that. Now, if we can get ourselves into a little better situation, I believe he may have a chance to do that against the Vikings, and I think it's going to be important for us. Andrew is saying, my coffee, I don't have any. I already had my coffee. Yeah, I was going to get some and bring it just so nobody's stressed that I didn't have my coffee with me, but no, I don't have any. So you guys have a cup of coffee on me. We'll see what happens. And next time, I guess I'll have to get some. But Eddie Lacy, we're going to need to get him started a little earlier this time around. He had 61 yards. James Starks only had 7 in this game. We're looking at, I kind of, at this point in the season, after just one game, I'm really wishing that the Packers had been able to have John Crockett as a little bit of sort of thunder and lightning with Eddie Lacy available for him. Jared says I've been stressed since I've started. I've already had 2 cups, so I'm actually hyper right now, so I decided not to have any more just yet. I'll have some after the show. But yeah, we've got to get Jordy Nelson going early. We've got to make sure that Eddie Lacy is, the guy doesn't have to have 100 yards every game. If he has 100 yards, that may signify that we're having trouble in our passing game. So we've got to get Eddie Lacy going. Here's the other thing now. We've got to, once again, this was one of my favorite things to watch in the Jacksonville Jaguars game. And it's hardly ever mentioned. But the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, you could see very clearly that they wished to bring pressure with their front and not have to send extra guys on blitzes. They knew how dangerous Aaron Rodgers was against the blitz. I've called him the executioner. I mentioned it this morning. He just tears people apart. And the Packers did a good job of that against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If we can do the same thing, the Vikings look to bring more pressure than the Jacksonville Jaguars did, and I expect them to bring pressure earlier and more often. And that's going to be an opportunity for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see how that goes. If our offensive line now, again, this was their first time really getting out on the field, playing a full game together as an offensive line with Lane Taylor at guard and J.C. Tretter at the center position. There was actually one play, I may actually do a post on this play, the play before the half, the miraculous Devontae Adams throw and catch by Aaron Rodgers with Jalen Ramsey hanging all over him. That was actually an extremely interesting play to me, and I guess I'll talk about it now instead of posting or whatever. Listen, the left side, okay, so Jalen Ramsey, they brought him on pressure. He came off our right side in either the A gap or B gap. I can't really remember. What was interesting about that to me is, and the thing that I don't know that anybody, you might have missed, quite frankly, is that both Bakhtiari and Lane Taylor on the left side of that line made the adjustment to that. We had that play blocked up. We had Jalen Ramsey blocked up on that play. What happened is the Jacksonville Jaguars from our left, they gave a pressure look and dropped out of it. The minute they dropped out of it, Bakhtiari shifted just like he's supposed to. Lane Taylor shifted just like he was supposed to. The shift stopped there. We had that play blocked up. But the shift, we didn't shift from the right side over and switch over and pick up Jalen Ramsey on that play. We had that play blocked up. And again, we saw it was a great play. It ended up in a touchdown. So no complaints whatsoever. What I love about it is that Bakhtiari and Lane Taylor were exactly on the same page. And they seamlessly shifted over just like they could. Of course, we got to clean it up. We want to make the shift all the way across and pick up Jalen Ramsey. But I loved what I saw and J.C. Treader, brand new this year, center. From our left side over, we were seamless on that play. That is extremely important, and it tells me, number one, and I've said this, I've been impressed with Lane Taylor from the beginning. He is an extremely intelligent guy. Just watch one of his interviews. And I'm very happy to see that he has taken advantage of this spot. With Sitton's exit, that we were all so surprised. But he has come in, and he had a very, very good game. So that's why I wanted to mention that play, because it really showed me that those guys that we were a little concerned of from the center, JC and Lane, and then David Bakhtiari, how are they going to work together? Wow, what a fantastic play. Absolutely textbook perfect on that play. And of course, we had the pressure. The pressure got there. We made the touchdown. It wasn't perfect all in all, but it ended in a touchdown. So defense, what are the keys to the game that you have on defense? All right. Obviously, job one. We know this. Everybody we can almost parrot it. Job one against the Minnesota Vikings is stop AD, right? We've got to stop Adrian Peterson. The Titans held Adrian Peterson to 31 yards in this game. The Packers, last time we met, I think in the final game of the season, Adrian Peterson had 26 yards against us. So Adrian Peterson, and the Titans had a chance to win this game. Titans really should have won this game. The Minnesota Vikings really sputtered early. Titans couldn't quite close it out. But in my opinion, this is the critical stat. I mean, it's crucial every time you play the Vikings. But look at the situation. We're short on our defensive line. We've got we've got inside linebackers that are basically brand new. Jake Ryan had a nice day against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Martinez played well. And of course, Joe Thomas got carried off the field. I mean, Joe Thomas really has shown me something. And again, what is Joe Thomas's strength? It's not pass coverage, folks. Everybody in Packer Nation knows it's not, Joe Thomas's strength is not pass protection or pass coverage out of the backfield. But what he brings to the table is his run-stopping ability. So if we can stop Adrian Peterson, I think it is the critical key to beating the Minnesota Vikings. Again, this is a home game for them. They are going to be pumped up. They are going to be stoked for this game. There are rumors out there. Phil, you can maybe jump on and talk about this if it's true. There are rumors out there that US Bank Stadium is louder than the Metrodome was. And it could be very interesting. We know, the Minnesota Vikings make some noise when their Vikings are playing at home. And it's a brand new home for them. They couldn't have a better homecoming than beating the Green Bay Packers. If we can't stop Adrian Peterson, this is going to be a difficult. Now, what I've seen out of our defense, and Dom Capers mentioned this too, is not that we stink against the run. What it is that once in a while we give up some big, big plays in the running game. We have got to play start to finish, top to bottom. We got to remain gap sound, and we've got to bring Adrian Peterson. You got to bring him with more than one defender. So what I saw that was good last week, on Sunday, was that we did have a lot of defensive players flying to the ball. What I saw that absolutely has to be cleaned up is that we were missing on first contact. First contact, we were terrible in completing the tackle with first contact, or at least holding up. We've got to get that fixed. And I know that's going to be a point of emphasis this week for the Packers defense. And so I think that we will get it. But stopping Adrian Peterson is going to be absolutely crucial. The other thing, another key to the game is this. It's like, okay, so Zimmer is really keeping his cards close to the vest in terms of which quarterback are we going to be playing against? I mean, I think it's going to be Hill, but Bradford is still sort of in the wings. Maybe again, Phil, maybe you got some inside information on that, since you are right down in the thick of it. It's interesting to me. I'll expect Hill. The one thing I don't expect is that either one of these guys are going to have to be kind of game managers. Sean says tackling has to be number one. I'm going to stop and mention that because Sean is right. Tackling has to be number one priority. We've got Adrian Peterson. Yeldon was a good test. He's a good back. He's nifty. Adrian Peterson is going to have more power, maybe not more speed anymore. I'm not sure, but he is the test in the NFC North. And we have got to stop Adrian Peterson, and it starts with tackling, one of the most fundamental skills of football. And we did not do well against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That game would have been a much different game had we been a better tackling team in that game. But we don't know what quarterback we're going over either. Brian says it doesn't matter who it is. I tend to agree. Because here's the thing. I want to compare it. Like, look at, okay, I'm going to compare to the Jacksonville offense, okay? Just quickly, right? Jacksonville offense, that receiver duo, those guys were electric. You got to admit, we've got to give some credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiving core. I mean, those guys in Blake Bortles, that trio right there, that's a kick butt group. They gave us everything we could handle. The Vikings do not have that. They don't bring that to the table. Now, they've made some additions, and I'm going to mention one of my I've got to circle the stat we're going to talk about next, and one of them is extremely important. That's Stephon Diggs. But they don't have that kind of electric duo of receivers that have already proved it. These, Bortles and company proved it last year already. So the Vikings don't have that. They have a little bit of an upgrade. I would give them a plus in the running back category. But I would give it's either equal or they're a little bit of a minus in the wide receiver quarterback now at this point. So I think we're going to be able to handle that situation, and I think whatever quarterback drops back there is going to be basically trying to manage this game. They're going to feed the rock to Adrian Peterson. This is the opener of US Bank Stadium. Adrian Peterson is the face of the Minnesota Vikings franchise. They are going to feed AD the rock in this game, and this game is going to ride on his shoulders. I truly believe that. If we stop him, we win, is basically what I'm saying. If we can't stop him consistently, as we have in the past, and that I think is in question with the way our defense, just the way things have happened on our defense. This could be a different story. This could be a very difficult game for us. And that's not to say that the Vikings aren't developing into a more multi-faceted offense. So I think that they're going to do what they can, but I do believe that, we are going to be able to get to the quarterback. We have 3 sacks in this game. We're spreading the love around. This rotation, this defensive rotation is really going to pay dividends. Mark my words. This defensive rotation that we've got right now is fantastic, and it's going to pay dividends down the road. We may not have one guy with a ton of sacks. If you'd expect Julius Peppers or Clay Matthews to lead the team. But the way we're rotating right now, there are less snaps to be had, so we may not have one guy with double digits, but we're going to have a lot of guys with sacks, it looks like. We spread all 3 sacks were different players. That's a great sign moving forward. And I should mention, I don't know if you saw him roll up the graphic on the screen, but Clay Matthews with his sack in this game now ties Reggie White for all-time Packer leaders in sacks. KGB was 74.5. Kamir Bajabiamila from a long time back. Great guy. Clay is knocking on his door. It looks like he may surpass him this very year. With 68.5, Clay has. KGB had 74, so we are in the zone there. But again, Clay may not even have quite as many sacks as we would normally expect, having moved him back to the outside, because we saw this rotation. And did you notice Kyler Fackrell got in the game at the very end? It was actually a surprise to me in this game. So they are rotating all around the field. They want to keep these guys fresh down the stretch. It's going to pay dividends. But I think we will get to the quarterback. And if we can, we only gave up 1 sack, and we created 3 on our defense. I think that might be a great over-under, over-under 2 sacks or over-under 3 sacks, but I think we may hit that mark again. I think the Vikings, they've spent a lot of time, effort, and money on their offensive line, but again, with Bridgewater going out, they're going to be a little bit in flux at the quarterback position, and I think we're going to be fine against their quarterback at this point. Though Hill, I thought, looked pretty good. So to me, the key on defense is stopping Adrian Peterson. And of course, if you can add some sacks to that, we got, once again, another big statistic in terms of wins is your turnovers. Joe Thomas, when we did, remember before the game, I got on and we asked who's going to have the first interception of the year on the Packer defense. And I don't think anybody out there said Joe Thomas, but guess what? Joe Thomas gets a pick. I think the Packers are moving into that. They're hitting their stride, and these interceptions are going to come in bunches for us here pretty soon, especially as the defense is able to bring more pressure. I was a little disappointed with us being able to get quite as much pressure. Terry says Clay will have double-digit sacks. Yeah, very possibly. But again, if in the event that he only has, say, 8 sacks or something like that, look at the other sack count, because he's going to have less snaps than we've seen in the past. We saw him put Kyler Fackrell in. We're going to rotate these guys, and it's going to be fine, because then when, God willing, the playoffs come around, we are fresh and ready to roll. That's when it's really important. Hey there, Jeff. If you didn't catch Jeff's Rants and Raves post, I posted that yesterday. You can scroll down on the Facebook page. It'll still be there. And catch out Jeff's Rants and Raves. He gets on and he's just like, I like this. This was awesome, total Packer fan post. And then he's like, when we screw up, it's like, he's just like totally reflects everything that Packer Nation is thinking most of the time. And again, sometimes you'll disagree with him too, and he's cool with that. Just you don't need to get on and cuss anybody out or call anybody names or anything, of course. But if you disagree, that's totally fine. We're Packer Nation. We disagree. Hey, let's give Jeff a thumbs up for the R&R post. All right, Jeff, way to go. I see a few of them already coming across, so I thought I'd throw some more up. It's good to see you jumping on here, brother. All right, I got to read this. Brian is saying the Vikings are going to try to make a living off turnovers, and so we've got to hold on to the ball. That's a fantastic point. Their defense, I can definitely agree with you on that. And boy, it doesn't bode well for them when they come up against Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is as good as it gets at protection. And of course, we didn't see a lot of James Starks. He's the running back that, if we were going to be a little concerned, it would probably be about James Starks. Eddie Lacy, generally speaking, I think he had 1 less than Starks last year. It was 4 and 5 fumbles, I do believe. But Eddie Lacy, I think, looks good. The guy that I was worried about is Joe Thomas. I mean, he makes that brilliant interception. Did you see him carrying that ball? He carried that ball like a linebacker, that's for sure. And then got it knocked away. Thank goodness Micah Hyde was right there to fall on it. But yes, if they want to make their living on turnovers, number one, running the ball, we can't make mistakes. You just got to keep that thing high and tight, cover up with the second hand on contact. Let's not make any mistakes. James Starks, and we've seen the coaches describe this, he's a little bit of a longer back. He tends to run with more arm motion because he's got longer limbs. Well, you've got to be disciplined. It's more important to hang on to the ball than to be that split second faster that you think you're going to be if you pump your arms a little bit more. We've got to cover the ball on contact and maintain our points of pressure on the ball. Very important. Then you add to that in the passing game, Aaron Rodgers is as good as it gets. It's great to think about this offense. I was worried about them in the first quarter, but as soon as Jordy Nelson caught his first pass, yes, he did carry it like a loaf of bread, Israel. That's right, Joe Thomas. But yes, it took us a little bit to get going on offense, but as soon as Jordy Nelson caught that first pass, it was like a switch turned on, and I have good feeling about our offense coming into this game. So, of course, the Vikings defense is going to be a tough opponent, but so were the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were fast. They were together. But I think we've got enough offensive weapons to create the mismatches that we're going to need down the stretch. And I hope we can get in a situation where Eddie Lacy can just basically pound the rock and run out the clock. This would be a great one. for Eddie Lacy, for us to feed the ball to Eddie Lacy in the fourth quarter and be able to close out a big win against the Minnesota Vikings. Well, I want to close with a couple. I have this sort of, I guess it's kind of a bit I want to do. I think I'll do it quite often. It's called Circle the Stat. There's just a few things I went through because, and the reason I bring this up is, and you may or may not, this may or may not be helpful to you, but basically my thought is most of you guys don't go out and study the stats of the Minnesota Vikings. You don't study the stats necessarily of the opponent coming up. You like to look at, what are the Packers doing? So I thought for you guys, maybe I would take a look at some of the stats from the game before of our opponent coming up. So I looked at the Minnesota Vikings, and what I wanted to do is just kind of see what jumped out at me. I've never done this before, but I call it Circle the Stat, and a few things really kind of did jump out at me. One was this. Stephon Diggs had 7 receptions against the Tennessee Titans for 103 yards, guys. We have got to be careful with him. We have got to make sure. I would expect that if Adrian Peterson gets going, that the Vikings are going to want to spread the ball around a little bit more than that. But if we have any receiver, whether it be Rudolph or Diggs, break the 100-yard mark, I think this is going to be a very rough game for us. We can't have that happen. We have got to be careful of that. Of course, we've got to, the job one is to force the Vikings to throw the ball in the first place, and that comes from stopping Adrian Peterson. But boy, if one wide receiver breaks 100 yards on this Vikings team, I would be hard pressed to think that we are going to win that game at that point. So we'll see, and I'll have a chance to go back and look at that. But of course, it's very important. Now we're looking at a defense that may or may not have Sam Shields. Extremely important. We like to play nickel. We like to get guys back there, and I think what we've seen is some of our trailing technique where we have a little bit of a difficulty with that. Even Gunter who was known to be our one guy who kind of can play bump and trail technique. But we'll see about that. But we do not. That's one thing that jumped right out at me is they had the Titans gave up 100 yards receiving to a single wide receiver on the Minnesota Vikings. We know, again, if the running game isn't going to work for you, we kind of got a good idea where the Vikings are going to go now. So we have got to take care of Diggs. But also we know from past experience, historically, Rudolph had 4 receptions for 65 yards as well. He didn't break 100, but that's 4 receptions for 65 yards. So I didn't do the average on that, but that's pretty big. And we know he has killed us in the past. So we've got to be very careful. Again, assuming we can force the Vikings into 3rd and longs, make them throw the ball. We've got to watch out. I want to see any receiver with that kind of yardage. Here's another one. Looked like it froze up on me for a second there. The Vikings only had 1 sack in this game. Linval Joseph, I think, had it. And we allowed 1 sack against the Jags. I think the Packers have a chance to really show something with this offensive line. Obviously, job one for the O-line is to protect Aaron Rodgers. We have got to keep Aaron Rodgers clean. And I know that this offensive line is going to go into the cut-up room. They're going to watch the film, and they're going to see that 1 sack, and that's going to be what they focused on, is we have got to clean that up, that one play. And everything they do between now and then is going to have to do with keeping Aaron Rodgers' jersey completely clean in this game. It's going to be a tall order against the Minnesota Vikings defense. And again, like I said before, I think they're going to bring more pressure. I think they're going to see what happened with the Jaguars, and what happens is defensive coordinators really, we talk a lot about pick your poison on offense. Defensive coordinators have to pick their poison now against the Green Bay Packer offensive line. They have to decide whether they think their front 4 or front 3 are going to be able to get pressure on their own, or whether they're going to have to send somebody. If they run the gambit that they're going to get pressure on their own, then they hope they've got enough guys in the backfield. They can give Aaron Rodgers some trouble. They can cover our wide receiver. But if they can't get pressure that way and Aaron Rodgers has the time, he's going to find somebody open. If, on the other hand, they go to bring pressure, and this is where I think Aaron Rodgers shines, to be quite honest, is when they bring pressure, you saw what Aaron Rodgers can do with Jalen Ramsey hanging off his jersey, throwing a touchdown pass right before the half to Devontae Adams, and a great catch by Adams in that. And so it's pick your poison time for the Minnesota Vikings. And I'll think through probably by the time it's Prediction Friday, I'm going to go ahead and predict which way I think the Vikings are going to go with it. You know, early, I would probably say they know that they have to bring pressure because the Jacksonville Jaguars have a quite good front as well, and they were not able to get pressure against the Packers' offensive line without bringing an extra guy. So we will see. Okay, I knew somebody was going to say this. David is saying that they've got synthetic grass, so Aaron Rodgers' jersey is going to stay clean. It was a metaphor. I knew somebody was going to mention that. And I didn't see a smiley face, but I bet you're out there laughing at me right now. Yes, Aaron Rodgers' jersey will technically stay clean, okay? We got to keep, okay, how about this? We've got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. Hopefully everybody can agree with me on that. We got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. And Aaron Rodgers does a pretty good job keeping himself upright, as we saw against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So those are a couple of stats that really jumped out at me. I thought that the Vikings would have more than one sack against the Tennessee Titans. I believe that they have done a lot of work on their offensive line as well. So yeah, I'm sure that they're going to be, hopefully improved. But I thought the Vikings would have more than one sack, and so it's interesting. Okay, guys, well, that's pretty much all I had for today. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. If you didn't get a shout-out, you can go ahead and tell me where you're at and who you are, and I will give shout-outs on the back end of the show. Is there a troll? Who's the troll? Why is a troll in here, says Brian. I didn't see it. Boy, we've got a lot of technical stuff going on. Now we got Justin is pointing out that white is all colors. This is great. All right, well, I'm gonna close, I think, at that. On the way out, I do want to mention thank you so much for interacting with this show, for jumping on, for spending a little time with me. We like to at PackerNation.com, we try to help Packer Nation express itself, and that's the very reason that I do this show. It's been a lot of fun. Also, if you want, jump on GreenBayPackerNation.com. You can sign up for the new game that's coming out and play to get the ring. Okay? And you're not just playing to get the ring. You can win prizes whether you win our trophy or not. This is GPN's trophy. All you got to do is go to GreenBayPackerNation.com, click into the post that says get the app before the game comes out, and fill out the form, and it'll be just that easy. People are jumping on, and like I say, Samantha jumped on basically just after or just before having her baby, so there's no excuses, guys. There are no excuses. You can get on GreenBayPackerNation.com, sign up for the game. We want Packer Nation to be represented because, again, I am starting to challenge people around the league with our guys against them. And I'm not even absolutely certain how I work all that out right now. Because again, this thing's coming out in October. I'm hoping it comes out before the Cowboys game. Because I already got Kevin, my boy Kevin, and he and I are doing a little bit of good-natured smack talk because we want to challenge each other. And I got people saying, take off my ring. Oh, come and get it. Come and get it. You know I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna have to give this thing up. Okay, so a little more on the trophy. The trophy is the GPN ring. It's got the G on there. It's got the year, and it says GPN, Green Bay Packer Nation, on the other side. So it's pretty cool. We call it the Precious. And also, whoever wins it gets the ring, comes in the mail, and you get to do a short 30-second video smack-talking me. After I smack-talk you all year long, you get revenge, okay? I've even had a notion. Somebody asked about if they were going to get the shirt, too. I said, I am actually considering giving you the shirt off my back to the winner because here's the ring. And it's coming into a little better focus today. Guys, this thing looks nice. It sparkles this is going to look great on somebody's desk. To be honest, I keep it on my desk. I got this really dark desk. Every time the light moves across it, it sparkles. This is from Thayer's Jewelry in Mauston, Wisconsin. So that's my shout out to my cousin down there. Great full service jewelry, not the jeweler. They can do everything. David says, my whole my precious. Okay, guys, a lot of people are super excited. I am so stoked. There's Trent. How you doing, man? Mauston, go to Mauston. Get your stuff there. You can get watches. They've got a gift shop attached to the store as well. And obviously, I would appreciate, Trent, I was going to talk to you too maybe about giving these guys a discount if they say they heard about you on GPN, because a lot of you folks might be making a little longer trip if you went to Mauston. Of course, if you're in the Wisconsin Dells, La Crosse, Madison area, it's really close. It's really fairly centrally located. So yeah, get on. I do want to talk. Do you get the helmet in the background? Jay's asking if you get, man, you guys are so greedy. Jay, come on, give me a break, bro. How can you be so greedy? No, you cannot have the helmet, because that helmet is actually my son's. It was given to him when he was playing Pop Warner football. The kid was a powerhouse running back. He was averaging about 2 touchdowns a game for a while there. One of the people who came is a big Packer fan living here in Tennessee and gave him that. She had a lot of Packer paraphernalia. She gave him that helmet. Oops, I just bashed the precious against something. That's okay. It's indestructible. If Gimli's axe can't break it, neither can I. But she gave him that helmet, so obviously I can't give it away. But man, I can't believe how greedy you guys are. The precious is wearing off, right? It has a mind of its own. It's the power is already being felt. But yeah, jump on. Okay, this is like after show talk, so I know that everybody who's done with the show. So I'm just going to go with it because I'm seeing a lot of MJ is here. How about my glasses too? This is awesome. Yeah. No, as of right now, here's what you get. Now, I don't think I can sweeten the pot much more than I have already. So not only, keep in mind, folks, that when you play the game, you get lifetime achievement points all the way along. Guys, it has been said in no uncertain terms that the prizes right now they start at T-shirts and hats. They go to electronics after that, iPad, something like that. It is said that it has already been said in no uncertain terms, you can actually, with lifetime achievement points, win a brand new car. That's what I have been told in no uncertain terms. Obviously it's going to take, you're going to have to play for a long time to do that. But somebody wants to talk about Demarius Randall's play. That's probably for tomorrow's show, but let me write that down. I'm going to put it on the board. And tomorrow you can get back. I didn't see your name, so I can't give you a shout out, but that's a great idea. We'll talk about the backfield in general. Write it on the board. Hopefully I won't forget. If I do, I'm sure I'll be reminded. All right. And also another thing that's coming up cool, I believe in October, is I will be doing my first book review. So if you guys are out there and you're looking for something interesting to read, or if you've got a book coming out, this one will be well, I'm not supposed to talk about it just yet because it's not coming out just yet, but I'll be doing my first book review. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully you find that interesting. Jay is asking about tomorrow's show. I go on at 9 o'clock Central Time almost every day unless something happens. So I always give a live in 45 mention on the Facebook page. If you're having trouble following it, what you need to do, I believe, is touch the screen, and then it will give you the option to follow the show, and it'll let you know when I go live. Now, I have heard from my buddy Andy. I don't know if Andy is on today, but I have heard that when he touches a screen, it asks him to unfollow, which means that he is following the show. But he has had where he hasn't gotten the notice that my show is coming on. Now, I will say this. Facebook can be a little bit finicky. They do what they want. I have no control. And so there may be a little bit of weirdness there, but that's how you're supposed to do it. And if you have success with that, I'd love to hear it, that you were able to follow the show and you're getting the notifications. Because I haven't had any trouble getting my notifications. And of course, if you don't want to get notified every time I go on live, I totally understand that because I'm going to be adding some. So it's totally fine with me if you unfollow the show. But I do hope you drop in from time to time because I really love everybody coming on. One last question before I go, guys. I want to ask about two things. I almost did a live show during halftime. I'm probably going to do a pregame show on Sundays for sure. But if you're thumbs up, if you are interested in a halftime show, this would be just going over the first half stats. quickly, and then going over what kind of adjustments I think we need to make. If you're interested in that show, give me a thumbs up. I almost went on to do it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask you guys first. I know you got, things going on, and we're going to be playing that game in the halftime too, I think. I may talk about that at the half. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of thumbs up. Okay, it looks like some people are interested in that. I will give that a shot, and what we'll do, because again, it's going to have to be short. What I'll do is just let you guys know the first half stats. MJ says, let's do it. I got a thumbs up from Jolene. Ryan gives me a thumbs up. Andrew says he got notified. Okay, around 9:05 Central. Good. Glad to hear it. Thank you for letting me know. It's really helpful to me. Okay, well, we'll do a halftime show. And then what I think I might do, I'm trying to get to where I can go live on YouTube as well. I know some of you are more YouTubers than Facebook. I am really enjoying the interactive nature of the way Facebook lays it out. But I mentioned yesterday I do what I call the out-of-breath arm-sore Packer Minute, the show where I walk around the neighborhood talking about the Packers, and you watch to see if I get stampeded by a Mustang. Basically wander around my neighborhood and talk about the Packers. I know, I'm weird, but that's okay. A lot of people like that show too. So I might try to do that one live after the game as well, okay? I will let you know on Facebook if I start that show up, because I have to do some testing on that. So I'm getting a lot of yeses on this, okay? So I am definitely going to do a halftime show for you guys. And I do appreciate, Jared says, I love that. I'm not sure exactly which, but the idea of the halftime show, cool. I know you're in Australia, so maybe you have trouble getting them. All right. We are going to do it, guys. Okay, that's it. We're going to do it. I'm very happy, actually. I hesitated just a little bit, but because I thought it would be better if I found out from you guys what you were thinking first. So thank you so much for the thumbs up, letting me know what you think. I will close the show with that, guys. But if you haven't done it already, jump on greenbaypackernation.com, sign up for the game. Just click the post. I need your name, email, and phone number. I will send you a personal text and we'll get you on. You get in. The other thing you do get from signing up early is you are going to get some perks. They are retroactive to whoever signs up for the game before it comes out, but it closes as soon as they do come out. I don't know exactly what these are right now. It's going to be they'll throw you a few tokens to play with for free. Again, you are able to play free in this game if you interact with ads, et cetera, et cetera. You know how it works. Or you can buy a pack of tokens if you want to do, or you can, whatever, buy one-offs. I don't know, whatever. I think I'm going to try going free at first, but I just have this feeling. I know I'm going to go crazy because, like I said yesterday, we mocked this up with just a whiteboard, and I had fun. I had so much fun. But the only question I had is I can't wait for the game to come out, so I don't have to do any of the work, and it looks cool, and I can smack talk in-game, and I'm gaining points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right? Rick says, I like how you talk about all the way through the neighborhood about the Packers. Well, thank you. I'm gonna get that show up and running too. I didn't do it in the off season. I actually went out and I was gonna actually get on Facebook and do it yesterday. The problem was I gotta find a spot where I get good coverage, and I didn't have good coverage. So I'll get that ironed out. But thank you so much. I appreciate that comment, guys. I'm gonna let you go. From the bottom of our hearts here at GPN, we appreciate you guys getting on. We love your comments. We love the interaction. We love it when you jump on our site. We're just a couple of dads who love the Packers. We're a couple of country bumpkins from Wisconsin, and you guys keep us going. All right, the energy is here because Jared says he likes the walking show. I'm going to do it, man. I got to keep coming up with metaphors, though, because I love doing that at the beginning of the show. And if you'll recall, anybody who watched the show last year, all right, I'm going to tell one last story, okay? So you can hop off if you want. But this is about the out-of-breath arm sore Packer Minute from last year. There were no less than 2 times. Because when I walk, I got in a pattern. And there was one time last year where there was an accident, and a car actually landed right in an exact spot where I have to step every time. It's on an intersection, and there's only one place. I have to step down into this little hole to get up on the other side, because otherwise I'm in the road at the intersection. There was a car planted right there. I did a show on it. I was a little bit freaked out. Because obviously I wasn't there. Everything was fine. And the main thing, I hope that the people that were in the accident were okay. But it was a little bit eye-opening. And that happened again. That happened a second time where a telephone pole got nailed right where I walked by the golf course. All right? So I almost stopped saying the whole, you watch to see if I get trucked by a power wagon kind of a thing. I almost stopped saying that at the beginning, but thank you, Roger, so much. Thank you, DM Kreutzer. I hope I say Kreutzer right, and it might be Kreutzer, but I always say he uses oi. Thank you so much. How's my ring? Oh, the Precious is doing fine. Just fine. It'd be great. I wish I could like CG myself as Smeagol, as Gollum, like right now. It'd be awesome. All right, guys. Anthony, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to let you guys go for today. I will be back at the same time tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the Packers' defensive backfield. I'll do some work on that so we can sort of fulfill what you guys want to talk about as well. Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good day. And remember, get the ring. Go Pack.